We have some updated information, some new info that we want to share. First, we're obviously here at the EOC. I want to thank both Fire Commissioner Ayers for our opportunity to be here, as well as Samantha Phillips, who is the Director of the Office of Emergency Management. This is a limited opening of the EOC. It involves Office of Emergency Management, Philadelphia Fire Department, Philadelphia Police Department, the Streets Department, SEPTA, PennDOT, and the Philadelphia Parking Authority staffing their stations for this opening of the EOC. Just again, from a personnel and storm fighting perspective, you can get more information certainly from Streets Commissioner Perry. 375 pieces of equipment out, 700 personnel fighting this storm right now. Still estimated at 8 to 12 inches, but again, there are models that are showing the prospect of more than 12 inches of snow, and some of those models are also showing that Philadelphia may be, for all intents and purposes, right in the middle of the storm pattern. So we are taking this very, very seriously. As I mentioned earlier, the plowing operations have already started. Brining was a couple days ago. That's done when the streets are dry. The salting has been going on and has continued for some time. Once again, need to remind everyone, salting is less and less effective as you get into the 20-degree temperatures, and basically below about 22, 24 degrees into the 20s. The salting is at its least effective, and certainly into the teens. All Philadelphia public schools managed by the school district are closed tomorrow. All archdiocese schools, the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, are closed tomorrow. All administrative offices of the school district are closed tomorrow as well. From a public safety perspective, certainly want to ask our charter school operators and our private school operators to really think about the safety aspects of what we're looking at in terms of the plowing operation, the salting, and the extreme temperatures tomorrow. That combination, plus the winds, gives us a great amount of concern, and we're asking our charter community, charter school community, and our private school community to think about those issues as they make decisions as to what they're going to do with regard to tomorrow. But we want to strongly encourage folks to not be out unless you really have to. With regard to the city of Philadelphia, I'm announcing right now that unless you are considered essential personnel for this storm, the city offices will all be closed tomorrow. The state courts, and that would be municipal court as well as common police court, all state courts are also closed tomorrow as well. This is a very serious storm. The combination of the amount of snowfall combined with plummeting temperatures and high winds makes this a rather dangerous storm. So it's not necessarily the amount of snow, it's also the combination of the other factors that I mentioned earlier. I'll ask both Sam and Dave Ferry to give additional updates from the Office of Emergency Management perspective, as well as the Streets Department. Sam?
Thank you. As the mayor mentioned, the city's Emergency Operations Center activated at 3 p.m. today. It's what we call a partial activation, with core departments focusing on public safety and public works. We will continue to have citywide interagency calls throughout the evening and into the overnight for other issues that might arise. But as the mayor mentioned, this is not necessarily a historic amount of snow for Philadelphia, but paired with the extreme temperatures, we want to be prepared. We're really encouraging people to stay home, stay off the roads. Check out our website for information. Stay tuned for local news, for updates, and we'll keep you posted throughout the event.
Streets Commissioner Perry.
Good afternoon. Streets Department continues to plow and salt the city streets. This operation will continue overnight. As the Managing Director's office has done, they've declared a snow emergency for Philadelphia. What that means is that you cannot park on a snow emergency route, and that's effective at 4 o'clock today. So cars are not allowed to park on snow emergency routes. If you're on there, you'll get you'll get relocated, and we do that in order to allow the streets department to plow the snow emergency routes from curb to curb. The snow emergency routes, there's about 110 miles of those in the city of Philadelphia. There are our largest arterial streets. They're key to keeping the hospitals and the emergency services in the city operational. It's very important to keep those streets clear, and that's why we declare a snow emergency, so we can plow them from curb to curb.
Fire Commissioner Harris.
The fire department, fire communication center is experiencing a high volume of calls, emergency medical calls. We're experiencing about 22 more calls per hour as we did yesterday. We're very busy. The majority of the calls are for falls, difficulty breathing, people shoveling snow and doing other things, and also auto accidents. We're asking that you take your time. If you don't have to be out, don't go out. But if you are out, use extreme caution. Right now, we're expecting that it'll continue to stay at a high volume. Please, 911 is for emergencies only. If you have an extreme emergency, please call. If you don't, you can expect that there may be delays as far as Class B calls or basic calls. So thank you very much. Stay safe, and make sure you monitor your smoke alarms, home safety, escape plans, all of those things, and the carbon monoxide. We're experiencing twice as many carbon monoxide calls this year than we had last year this time. So make sure you have your alarms. It's the law. You have to have the alarms, and be safe. Okay? Make sure those flues are clear, clean, and you monitor your heating systems.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Let me come back with, again, we have a ton of information that we want to keep folks focused on, but the Fire Commissioner touched on one area, which is also, as the storm is evolving, again, given the extreme temperatures, the difficulty in getting out, the fact that we're encouraging folks to try to stay off the roads and off the streets, is to please check in on senior citizens, folks who are shut-ins, others who may be considered vulnerable populations. Knock on that next door neighbor's door or someone down the street, see if they have the provisions that they need. Help them as the storm ends with clearing their steps and their sidewalks as well. 311 is activated now to a 24-hour operations throughout the evening to take non-emergency calls. 311 fully staffed, and they'll have a ton of information. Philadelphia International Airport. The airport is obviously experiencing extreme difficulty out of the airport. If you're planning to fly, check with your airline first and foremost to see just what's going on with your flight. SEPTA, again, continues to operate, and they will continue to operate as long as they possibly can. Remember, we talked earlier, at 3 o'clock, we were going to start seeing 1 inch an hour snowfall at some point in time. It is extremely difficult, especially for the bus system to operate in the city. The trains and the regional rail often are able to last a little longer, and check in with SEPTA or go to their website to get information about them. Philadelphia Prisons, as I mentioned earlier, canceled all visits today and tomorrow. If there are homeless that you see out on the street, either call 311 or the Project Home Outreach Hotline, 215-232-1984. There's a ton of information. I'll just basically give you the city's website. From there you can navigate and get all kinds of other information. www.phila.gov. You can go to OEM, you can go to Streets Department, you can see what's going on with the Parking Authority. We announced earlier in about a half a dozen lots, mostly in downtown, parking garages mostly in downtown. They're doing $5 for 24-hour parking if you want to get your car off the street, and you can park it with the Parking Authority. That will last as long as the snow emergency is in effect. We do not know at this point, given the severity of the storm, how long the snow emergency will last. We'll update you more than likely sometime tomorrow about that, but for the moment, be safe, If you don't have to be out this evening, please try to do your best to stay inside, stay warm, stay safe. If you don't have to be on the roads, don't be out there with your car. Conditions, unfortunately, will continue to deteriorate through the course of the night. The estimates are that this storm will end somewhere between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. And we want to make sure that our streets department crews, who are doing a fantastic job, working very hard and very long hours and long shifts, that they have as much clear time with the least amount of traffic on the roadways so that they can get the city back in order in the next day or so. Lastly, with regard to trash collection, I mentioned this earlier. Because there was a holiday yesterday, everything was already one day behind. Normally, the Tuesday trash in a holiday situation would go out on Wednesday. We're asking those folks to hold their trash until next week because the trash compactors that would normally pick up trash are out plowing snow right now, and they will be through tomorrow as well. With that, if you have any additional questions, we'd be glad to try to answer them.
You mentioned earlier about parking near corners.
Yes. Whether you're on a snow emergency route or not, please do not park close to corners. That makes it very difficult for our plowing equipment to get around those corners. The turning radius on the vehicles is fairly wide, and they need those corner areas, A, to be able to clear the snow, and B, literally to be able to make it around the corner. So don't put yourself in a situation where you relocate your car, park it near a corner, and then we have to end up moving it again or towing it because you're too close to a corner. Parking, of course, under these situations, always tight in many of our neighborhoods. I get that, but we don't want to impede the ability of the snow fighting crews to do their job to help citizens as the city digs out of this today, tomorrow, and into Thursday.
Mayor, is there a potential increase for more manpower on standby, and how often are current folks working in terms of the hours that they're?
I'll let who's over here now. Let Dave Perry address that issue.
Our crews typically in an event such as this will work 12 or 18-hour shifts. 700 is the total number of employees that will be engaged in this operation through the entire event.
Thank you, sir.
Our folks are good, they know what they're doing, and Dave and his team look after the crews. But I have to tell you, at least during my time, and any experience that I've had with its streets department, its parks and recreation, it's a number of other departments and agencies, these folks take a tremendous amount of pride in their work. We believe we can fight any storm that comes our way. We have the plans, we have the personnel, we have the equipment, and you know, in this particular one, the weather will play a role. None of us can really do much about that, but we're going to give it everything we have. When all is said and done, we usually win.
Mayor, or this might be for the fire commissioner, can you comment on the response time for emergency medical units? We're hearing some reports they may be delayed up to an hour.
Well, one of the things that we're doing is we've made a conscious decision to screen calls that are a fall, would like to get themselves checked out. They won't have a priority over a heart attack or someone with very difficulty breathing. So that's one of the reasons. What the dispatchers are doing, they're in constant contact with that person. They call back, and we inform them that if anything changes, they'll call back and we'll get someone to them right away. The citizens are very cooperative, and we appreciate that.
But I think, as the commissioner mentioned, he already said that we're up about 22 calls or runs per hour over normal time, and we've got, you know, we've been into the storm since 10 o'clock this morning. We probably have, you know, 3-4 inches down on the ground, many more cars out on the street, plowing activity going on. All of that, again, will impact the ability of those vehicles to get around, and more people calling. Some, again, you've got a heart attack and you've got, you know, I fell down. Both are important, but we clearly know that one is actually life-threatening, and we need to get to that person first. Any other questions? Okay. We'll stay in touch, but that's the update for so far, and we'll if we do anything else in the course of the evening, we'll let you know. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mayor.